Angela Burke is an award-winning high-tech marketing leader, author, and the voice behind Real Girl's Guide to Midlife, a community reshaping how women step into midlife with radical self-possession. After 3 decades of scaling companies from scrappy pre-IPO startups to global Fortune 500 giants, she left the C-suite to focus on consulting, writing, and telling the truth about what it really means to live on your own terms. Her Substack and this book blend personal stories with hard-won insight and expert guidance, delivering real talk, sharp observations, and a voice women can relate to immediately. Angela divides her time between the San Francisco Bay Area and Australia and is a mom to 3 boys and a stepmom to 4 more kids. Welcome to the Unapologetic Midlife Podcast. I'm your host, Mindi Lobuzzetta. And today I'm talking with someone who basically took the rule book, laughed, and she set it on fire. Welcome to the Unapologetic Midlife Podcast, Angela Burke, author of Real Girl's Guide to Midlife. We are excited to talk to you and get into it today.
Well, I'm excited to be here. And honestly, your podcast just says it all.
Thank you. Yeah, I
just
wanted something that encompassed a little bit about what this phase of life is about. I'm approaching 48 soon, and holy shit, it's been a whirlwind. So your book, I finished reading it. I have it here for everybody to see. I'll certainly be putting a link in the description about it. And let's dive in.
Let's do it.
What was your inspiration for this book besides life?
Well, besides life. So the funny story about this book was I actually had this idea when I was 35.
Okay.
So the book was going to be called The Real Girl's Guide to Over 35. And what was happening to me then was I was a new mom. I had 2 small boys at this time. I was in a marriage that I was pretty sure, I just was sort of having questions about the relationship and the marriage. I was at a career crossroads. Little things about my appearance started to change, nothing drastic or traumatic. But I noticed things were changing. And unbeknownst to me at that time, my hormones were also starting to shift. But back then, 20 years ago, I got to tell you, there was no language about perimenopause. My mom and I are very close. We're 19 years apart. She didn't really talk about stuff. I remember her and my grandma talking about the change, like I'm using air quotes, the change. And I was looking around and I was like, why does everybody seem to have their shit together? So it's got to be just me. I'm the crazy one. It's all in my head. But as I was having all these questions, I started to write them down. Scratch paper, back then, handwritten shit, Post-it notes. And I had, it's a lot of different topics. And I sort of knew like, hey, I was dealing with stuff. Other women surely must be dealing with stuff. And then I wanted to pull in experts. And so that's kind of the idea for the book. And it lived in a red folder, like a literal red, one of those like old timey folders. And then it got buried. And so fast forward to December of 24, a lot of life had happened to me throughout my 30s and 40s and even into my 50s. And I had the gift of retiring at the end of 24 and I was cleaning off a pile on my desk and I found the folder and I opened it and I was like, well, look at that. Turns out a lot of the same shit is still, I'm still confused about. A lot of new stuff.
Yep.
A lot of things that maybe I thought I had answers to and it turned out I didn't. And then I was like, I can write the book. Like I could write the book. And so that's what I did. So that was a very long origin story, but she was birthed. She sort of got shelved. She lived some life. She reemerged and here we are.
Yeah. And you know what I got to say, this book, I remember 10 pages in and I'm like, damn, like she gets it. 10 pages. She gets it.
Yeah, she gets it and she gets really real and she gets really honest. And that's the thing, right? Like if I think about, I didn't know I was a writer. I didn't know that I actually was funny. Because I was just so deep in all, thank you. I just was deep in all of this stuff. And I just, I sort of spent so much of my time and so many of my decades just kind of editing myself. Like, ooh, can't say this. Ooh, can't say that. Whether it was work settings or in relationships or friendships or wherever, I'm got to keep the peace, got to do this and apologizing for my existence. And, I need permission to do this can't say no, can't do this. And it was like, when I started writing, what I realized is it just all flowed.
Yeah.
And I
It
was
just
like,
kind of fell out. There it is.
it just fell out. And I had a lot of rules about writing, 45 minutes at a time. And then I started with only 45 minutes a day. And then I was like, oh, when stuff was coming out, only 45 minutes at a time. Because what I found I would do is I would go back and I'd reread shit. And I'd go, ooh, that kind of stings. And I was like, nope, not
leave
going
it.
to do it.
Yep.
So it truly is, particularly, my story and the story that so many other women shared. It is truly raw. It is truly real. And it's unedited.
And that's what I like, right? We live in a world where we have a filter for everything. We have a filter for our skin, our hair. Oops, got to hide my grays, got to hide that pimple, right? In perimenopause, I'm here to tell you, no amount of makeup, no amount of Botox, no amount of filler is hiding some of the really rough days. I think I'm on a few hours of sleep today because I had a night I didn't sleep last night. And I'm like, okay, let me fix the bags. Let me get the lighting right. But you know what? I want people to know the raw. I want people to know the real, because the reality is women feel like they're losing their damn minds. It's the amount of women that have come to me as a therapist and have said, I feel like I'm going crazy, and are ready to implode their lives because they don't know what's going on. So what I'm trying to remember, in your book, you got divorced through perimenopause?
Did. So I divorced in my mid 40s, and unbeknownst to me at this time, so my run up was a very long one. So I started to have cycle differences. I noticed my cycles were changing when I was about 35. Minor changes, so nothing dramatic, nothing drastic. And then I kind of hit my late 30s and I was trying to conceive my third son, and then the shit just wasn't working. And I was like, okay, so that was another light bulb that said, hey, things are actually changing. But if I fast forward through that, right in the middle of my 40s, so many things were happening at one time. Divorce. I was at a career, not a crossroads, but I was working so hard. I was exhausted all the time. I had these 3 kids. I'm trying to forge a new life, right? As a single mom, 3 boys.
I got 2. I know what that's like.
Having a boy, I was telling somebody this, having a boy is like having a human and a half, because they take up surface area. But I was going through all that, and I didn't know how close I was to actually becoming postmenopausal. So my periods at that point, I would go 2-3 months without a period, then I'd get one, and it'd be massive, right? Bleeding through all the things. But I exited that 12-month period without menstruating. It was my 47th year. So it was literally all these things were kind of coming down at me at one time, and I didn't even know it at the time.
Yeah.
And I did. I felt, if I look back at that time, my 40s was my hardest decade. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I have got to be the only one, because I'm looking around. Okay. I'm looking around and everybody seems, my girlfriend, nobody's talking about shit. Everybody looks like they have everything together. And I'm like, okay, so let's just put it into perspective. You better have the good job. What about your car? Where do you live? Where do your kids go to school? How many activities do they have? How many languages they speak? It's just it piles on, right? And I really thought I was losing my mind, and I was crazy, and I was the only one. And then, all of this, right? And I'm like, ragey days. Because again, there was sadly, even 10 years ago, maybe it was just my circle of friends, but nobody's really talking about shit. So I'm raging at my kids. I'm raging at work. Everything just feels chaotic. And I was like, okay, it is me. And I am the only one.
Yeah. What we have now, because social media has its pros and cons, right?
True.
Right. There's definitely being on it too much or seeing things you don't want to see. But I feel like social media has exploded. And that's where I started to learn about this, because I kept going to the doctor. Well, you're too young, or this or that. Or God forbid we say the cancer word and everybody's like, oh, shit, well, we can't deal with you. Right. That was a whole extra stamp that was on my experience.
Yep.
And it was wild. You have to beg for help. Yeah.
Well, and you have to beg for help. And then if I turn it a little bit more inward, and I saw this play out, and certainly looking back, you kind of always get the benefit of the rear view. And I saw it echoed though, and I heard it echoed in a lot of the women that told their story. So you take all the things that are happening, right? The physical, the emotional, the, career, all these identity things that are changing. And then for me, the backdrop of all of that were these fucked up stories, right? That I had let either people tell about me and that I internalized, or that I told about myself, right? And these stories are deep, and they're varied, and they're modeled. But for me, a lot of it was, dude, you have got to keep it all together. You carry the load for everybody. You keep the peace. You keep everybody comfortable. My existence, it felt like my existence was at its core, the only way everybody around me was going to be happy. Okay. So I was quiet. I didn't make waves. I played small. And that showed up in a lot of places. It showed up at work. It showed up in my relationship. It showed up, the way I parented and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow I got told, or I internalized this idea that my happiness, what I wanted, what I think I deserved, what I desired, could not come on first on the list, because then everybody else is going to suffer. And then that's on me. So, on the scale of things, you either suck it up and deal with the pain, or everybody else around you does. So of course, what am I going to do?
Right.
I'm going to suck it up.
You got 3 kids. You're a mom of 3 kids. Like, I feel like so many women lose their identity becoming a mother. Yeah. And then, your kids are getting older and things are shifting and you're shifting, but their needs just change in different ways. And your career, I mean, you weren't planning to retire.
No.
And I mean, it worked out that way, obviously. It's definitely worked out for you.
Like I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah. But it's so many women are doing it all. What's your advice to those women who are doing it all?
Well,
what do you want to say to them?
Okay. Well, there are a couple things that I wish I would have believed and had other people to tell me, right? Number one, I think the either made up, real, imagined load, right? That we as women, many of us, right?
Invisible load.
The invisible load. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. Because I'm not a therapist. I should also say I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a hormone specialist. I'm not a coach. I'm none of those things. Just a girl trying to figure it out.
Yep.
The load is real, right? And so sometimes I think for me and a lot of the women that I talk to, somehow our competence and our capability was that became our currency, right? Mm-hmm. That became the thing that gave us worth, that gave us purpose, that we saw ourselves through. So then the more that we felt we had to carry, the more that we felt we could carry, it just kept piling on. Yeah. And you don't even realize the weight of it. Mm-hmm. But what I wish I would have heard and what I wish I would have believed at that time was somehow I was not alone. Because I looked around and I was looking for anybody. Just give me a bone here. Tell me that you're struggling with something. Doesn't even have to be my struggles. Just tell me that life feels hard. So no, you're not alone. I wish I would have taken pause and looked for the signs in my life that were there, but I just ignored them.
And the signs in your life, meaning what?
Like I was just this idea that I was playing small, keeping the peace. This idea that I was not the person. I couldn't even recognize myself in parts of my life anymore. I felt like the very best parts of me that kept me were disappearing. And I felt myself in a lot of parts of my life moving further and further to the edges. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I wish I would have just quieted and watched, and then somehow acknowledged and accepted that these struggles and the way I was feeling were not in my head, and that I was allowed to feel them. I was allowed to want different things, and it was up to me to make the change. And I somehow in all of that, I, like many women, and also a lot of the experts that I talked to in the book, it was kind of reaffirmed that, a lot of it is the way that we are conditioned. We do it to ourselves.
Absolutely.
We
Societal, do it familiar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I wish I would have listened to some of those things. I wish I would have believed them. And I wish I would have, I think at the root of it is I was never alone in it. And there were days where it felt like I was.
Yeah. And I guess what does it take, right? What does it take? Like I'm that person where and maybe it's the therapist in me, I don't know, but I'll ask people about things. I'll start talking about things. And I have noticed some people get uncomfortable. I'm not experiencing that. Okay. Then I take that as a cue. That person's not either there, which, okay, or they're just not ready for that yet. But what I've found is the majority of women are like, oh my God.
Me too.
Yes.
Well, and I think that you're absolutely right. And I think, because that's the deep stuff. That's the real, the raw, the deep stuff. And like the minute you start releasing that, it feels like a weight has been lifted. So I could say, even writing the book, I got to the end of that and I was like, damn, I can exhale, but there's even probably subtler signs. So if I look back at that time, again, my 40s were a really hard decade. I went through the most amount of physical, emotional, spiritual identity crises and changes, right? Yeah. But the signs were there. Like I found myself getting more easily annoyed. Right. And I can write it all off. I can write it all off to I'm exhausted, or I've got a 15-hour a day job or whatever. I found myself saying yes to shit. Like, why am I
That
saying
you didn't
yes to
want
all
to
these things?
say, yeah, yes
Oh
to.
God,
Yeah.
God forbid I say no. Like,
Yeah.
God forbid I say no. So I found myself doing that,
Mhm.
and to me, again, hindsight is always 2020. Sure, it's
Mhm.
easy to look back in the rear view and go, oh yeah, look, all the signs were there. But I think that they were, and I just was so wrapped up in all of these gross, weird, heavy stories and these stories were like super layered, right? Like a really good one is like, I spent a whole chapter in the book talking about sex and all the things, right?
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
funny. And yeah, maybe my boys are going to read this one day. Cool. Like, you're welcome. I don't
Love
know what to
your
tell you.
disclaimer, by the
Yeah.
way. Hilarious on that page. I really got a kick out of that part.
Yeah. It's like, cool. If you're going to suck it up, like, and stick through it, like, I am a whole person. But,
Yes.
this idea that, my pleasure had
Mhm.
to come last on the list. How messed
Yep.
up is that? That it took me
Well,
until my 40s until I realized,
yep.
what did I like? What were the
Yeah.
things that actually brought me pleasure? And somehow I
Mhm.
told myself I didn't deserve it. Like, that's messed up.
It is messed up. And so many women, even young women, right? Because
Mm.
obviously this starts younger, right? And you carry
Yes.
that into your 40s. And all of a sudden now you're finding yourself at this, you're divorced. And now it's like, okay, what is this? What does sex look like for me as a suddenly single woman in her 40s?
What does it look like? And like, do I even know enough about sex? And it turns out I actually didn't know a lot because I never spent time like really
Yeah.
focused on me. And because somehow I
Exploring.
thought like I didn't deserve it. I was wrong to want it. I
Yeah.
was wrong to like demand attention.
Sexually. Yeah.
Right?
No, you deserve that. You
Yeah.
deserve that.
Yeah. So it is, those struggles are super real. And I, even in writing the book and talking to so many women, some of these same fears creep up like, oh my God, I'm alone. Or, oh my God, somebody's going to read this and like rip me a new one or whatever. And what I found was like a lot of people, if it's not your bag, it's not your bag, and like, don't
Yep.
buy the book, and that's cool.
That's
But
okay.
more than that, it reminded me that I was not alone. I am not alone. I was never alone.
No.
And I wasn't crazy.
And I think part of this is like for women too, it's learning how to connect not only with ourselves, but with other women and being real, right? I
Mm.
think that's what a layer of this, there's a lot of like formalities. Even when I get on in therapy sessions with people, I'm like, hey, how are you today? Oh, I'm great. And I'm like, no, I want to know how you fucking really are.
Yeah, you
We're
really
not
are.
here to talk about how great you are.
Yeah.
We're here to get into the nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this part of your life also forced you to kind of like re-examine, like you mentioned, spirituality, a lot of different things. We're multifaceted. It's not just like one aspect. The intersection is midlife, but all these hard things forced you to really kind of take a deeper dive into who you were and what you liked, not just sexually, but probably in a lot of different aspects of your life.
Yeah, it did that. And the other thing that was an interesting thread that emerged, kind of in the rear view writing this book and certainly talking to a lot of other women is this idea of the grief that comes with some of this stuff, right? Because
disenfranchised grief, the grief you're not allowed to talk about.
And the grief, like somehow we believe that we're not allowed and somehow going to be chastised or punished for even talking about. Yeah. And I'm so sorry. Like this new wave of menopause. So I'm like almost 8 years past. I have a new batch of symptoms. Every orifice in my body is dry and my nose itches like nonstop.
I have my tissues.
I feel like I'm constantly scratching my nose. Every orifice is dry. Like nobody told me about this. But back to the grief. Grief doesn't just come when you lose somebody that you love, right? Grief can come in the form of marriages that are ending, relationships that are changing, careers that are shifting, households that used to be loud and obnoxious and bustling.
Your kids growing up.
Growing up, or the ideas of the life that you were writing for yourself or the place that you thought you were going to be. And I think for me and for a lot of the women that I talked to, it was like that piled on the shit sandwich of all the things that we were dealing with. Because then it's like, we're somehow not allowed to feel sad. We're somehow not allowed to be scared and confused. And so what I found was like, kind of, how do you lose that, right? Well, for me, a lot of it was like acknowledging it and feeling it and accepting what I was feeling. Sitting with it. And then starting to shift this idea that guilt and shame and embarrassment were not mine to carry. But it was okay to feel those things. And then kind of embracing this idea that change or something being different didn't mean it was a failure. It was just different.
It's bad. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different. And yet I think that it's very easy to get stuck in all of that, right? Like I think I held on to this idea of my marriage because I so wanted to give my kids an intact family. But what I failed to give them was a happy Angela.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They didn't know me.
Yeah. And I gotta say, your section in the mom of boys, as hard as it is, I want to be the best version of myself. But if I'm being honest, some days I'm not. Some days
God,
I'm
no.
not the best version. So that section like resonated just as a parent trying to do it all, right? I'm divorced and being a single parent trying to do it all. Boys are wonderful, but they're
wild. And, I do think it was in writing the book. I started writing the book in April of 25, and then I started a Substack in June of 25. And it really, I had no master plan. It was, as I'm writing, I'm going to write these articles. And I kind of used it as a little bit of a test bed to see if I was even a good writer and was anything I wrote resonating. But one of the early blogs I wrote was what I called the rage years, the mom's apology tour. Because I do, looking back, I do carry a really big stick about the kind of mom I was at a time when I think my kids needed the most stability, right? Their lives were changing. Their homes changed. Their physical homes changed. Everything that they knew to be true about their family and their parents changed. And then I had the backdrop of all this hormonal crap. And I know I didn't show up well. I know I didn't.
Yeah.
And so it was hard to admit some of that stuff. But I think it was also important because my kids, my boys, need to see me as a whole person. I am not this perfect human. I am not, world's best mom. I am not any one thing, and I'm never good at anything all the time. And I had to come to grips with that. And once I did, it was liberating. And now I think my boys see me for all the facets that I am, and it gives them permission to go, shit, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to show up angry or show up grumpy or show up exhausted or show up whatever. Just be human. And then okay, what are we going to do about it? That's the bigger, don't sit in it. We're going to figure it out.
You had a section, I have all my tabs in here, but
God,
I don't know. I'm okay, I wanted to bring this back up, but there was a comment in here, not a comment. It was a letter you had written to one of your boys, and it just hit home to my boys. Everything good in me lives in you. And just I felt it, right? You're doing your best, but I'm also fucking it all up along the way. I always say that I'm doing my best, but somehow I'm fucking them up, right? I know that. And I'm not trying to, but I know I am because this is hard.
Because it's really hard. It's really fucking hard. And I do feel that everything that's good in me lives in them. And they need to see that I'm not perfect, and they need to know that I'm going to mess up. And the biggest transition that I think I've gone through so far as a parent is trying to parent these adult boys. It's fucking difficult as shit.
One word text response, no text response at all. Mine at their age don't even respond. I'm did you get my message?
or worse, the eye rolls and okay, I'm overstepping my bounds, but then at 1 a.m. I'm getting 17 calls because somebody freaking wrecked the car. And I'm you guys, and I had
There's
a situation.
No medium.
There's no medium. And there are 3 different dudes. My boys are 3 different dudes. And so I can come at my older son in a way that's he and I are wired a lot alike. Yep. And so I come at him with lists. I come at him with reminder, and he's like, bring it. I love it all. I do that to my middle son, and how he internalizes that is, you don't trust me. And that fucking crushes me. And I write about this in the book and in the blog, where I went through this period and it was not anything even dramatic between me and my middle son. It was a conversation that I thought was innocuous, but the message that he received in the words that I never said the words I was disappointed in him. I never said the words I didn't trust him. That's what he internalized. And for a week, we didn't talk. For a week. And I was with my big boy and my little boy and my man. We were away for a week. My middle son ended up not coming. And I was a fucking wreck for 5 days. I was checking my phone every 5 seconds. I'm crying. And these 3 boys around me are like, what do we do with this? And I'm like, look, you guys.
We have no idea what to do. Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't need you to do anything. And my older son's like, I'm going to call my brother. And I'm like, you can't. I need to work this out with him. I need to work this out together. But my big boy, my 23-year-old, he wasn't 23 at the time. He was 22 or whatever. He's like, I want to go take you to get a drink. And I went. So he and I are sitting down, and I'm devastated, right? And he's like, look, you got to remember something. And I said, what? He said, you're our safe space. I said, what does that mean? He said, when shit goes wrong, you're the one who doesn't leave. This is not about you. This is about when we pull away, it's because we're frustrated and we're confused and we're lost. And we know you don't leave, So just don't
We know you're
leave.
going to be there.
Yeah.
You're
And
always, and you commented on that in there. I
yeah,
remember that you were like, I always showed up. And
I always
I've
showed up.
reiterated that to my boys through
Yeah.
my divorce. I'm always going to show up. I'm always going to be there. You're never going to have to worry about it.
No, and I might not show up perfect, and I might not show up
Right.
shiny, and I
Yep.
might not show up like I know what I'm doing. Because believe me, parenting adult men is a lesson
Different
in
beast.
like Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to show up. And
Yep.
it was the first time where here my kid was parenting. I felt like the shoe was on the other foot. Like, damn,
But he let you in. He let
he
you
did.
in, and he gave you a little insight to their
Yeah.
world and maybe how they operate
Yeah.
similarly, even though they're different.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like everything that I write about in the book is real, it's raw, it's
Yeah.
unapologetic. And somebody asked me the other day, like, oh, aren't you going to be embarrassed? Like your kids are hearing out about sex and all this
No,
stuff. I'm like, I'm so, like, is that not what happens in real life? Do we all not all
it
have
is.
sex? And
It
I
is.
am their mom, but first and foremost, I'm Angela. And
Yep.
I'd like them to see me for who I am. I want them
Well,
to
and
see me for all the parts.
I think normalizing it. They don't have to want to hear about it, but
No.
normalizing that it's okay to have a sexual relationship with your partner, and that it's also an important part of a relationship in life. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I feel like raising men, we have an obligation, even if it makes them cringe, right? Even if they start like, rolling their eyes or
Yeah.
plugging their ears,
Yeah.
they need to know that that's an important part of their relationship someday. Because even though we don't want to
Absolutely.
hear about it, right? We know
No.
it's going to happen. So
We
you're setting
do.
them up for success for someday their partners and whatever that's going to look like.
Totally. And I think the word that you used is normalize. And that's the thing that I hope that this book does. And, I have sisters who are in their 30s, and I like to say that I'm their crash test dummy on a lot of things. But this book is, I think, helping them to normalize the things that they're experiencing and the questions that they're having and, hearing the things. So sometimes I go like, oh, you'll thank me later. You might not like this part now, but like, and inevitably I usually get a call or a text like, oh, well, this thing just happened. And I remembered it in your book. And oh my God, thank you. And it's like, you're welcome. And you feel that way for my sisters, but it was a lot of white knuckling, a lot of things, a lot of second guessing, a lot of questioning. And then I just realized in writing this book and having it affirmed by the women that I talked to, having it reaffirmed by the experts whose point of view I was so humbled to incorporate in the book, is we don't have to apologize for being who we are. We don't need permission to show up. And we just need to be, and we just need to do. And it's not going to be perfect, but we just need to do.
Yeah, we need to be able to feel confident enough in ourselves. And I think that's one thing, like amidst all the chaos of the body shifting, the hair falling out, the grays I can't keep up with, the Botox that's now in my neck that emerged from my face, like all of it, right? Like there is this confidence that I feel like has emerged. I make a joke about this, and I'm always like, man, I'd like that 20-year-old body back, but I'm not giving up the 48-year-old part of me that has gained those wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
And this confidence that I definitely didn't have in my 20s. Like, holy shit.
No.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not even, it's, for me, it wasn't like this light bulb moment that I just woke up and I was like, ooh, look at me, confident today. It just was a subtle, it was a soft creep. It's almost as insidious as all the labor and the load and the stories and the way we sort of see ourselves in our own life creep up and build. It's almost the same way as kind of the reclamation, right? This idea that we are at this point in our life where we get to radically possess ourselves. And it can start small. Like somebody was asking me, like, what's the most powerful thing that you could start today? And it's like, well, think of something that you're really not good at. For me, the idea of saying no and just saying no, it's always been a problem for me because I'm a people pleaser. And for me, the idea that saying no means somebody else is going to have to carry a bigger load or somebody else's life's going to get harder. So I was like, okay, if you don't like the word no, I'm not available. That's 3 words.
Yep. Same
That's
meaning. Just, different way of saying it.
And also, no is a full sentence. And I don't owe you a dissertation. I don't owe you an explanation. Just no. Or if you're sitting in meetings and you're going, I'm watching all this shit happen around me, but I have an opinion. I have an opinion. That's 4 words. And sometimes it can start with something as simple as a sentence. And one of the things I do in the book is I talk about, this idea that, we shrink ourselves, right? Because I saw it, I felt it. And even something like saying what you need out loud to yourself, that's an incredible mindset shift.
Yeah. Hearing yourself say it, and there's an auditory component of that.
Yes.
I do EMDR processing, and
Oh,
there's a
see, yeah,
positive
you know this.
cognition.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. There's a positive cognition that I have some clients say, and I've had clients get so uncomfortable because they have to hear themselves say this positive cognition out loud that they need to
Right.
hear. And it's always women.
Yeah.
So, shocker there.
Yeah.
I had this sentence that I had written down. It was somewhere along the way, women were handed a rule book we didn't agree to. Be nice, be grateful, don't rock the boat, and for the love of God, don't complain in midlife.
Right.
Again, you took that rule book and you lit it on fire.
I did. And it wasn't, and I see it happen, right? Like for me, midlife is not about blowing up your whole life, but it is about being comfortable with taking up space in your own existence and not apologizing, not softening it, not being scared, not asking and waiting for permission to be in your own life. And somehow along the way, we're allowed
to take up space.
Yes.
You're allowed to exist without an exclamation. I do not need to get validation from anybody for how I feel. This is it. And that's that.
That's
Enough
that.
said.
Enough said. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's, I feel like I wish I learned this stuff younger. I don't know if there's a way for that. You know, maybe access to resources younger, hearing younger women. I mean, when I see women come to me in their 30s who are already exhausted, who are already feeling all the things. And I was there. I mean, my kids came later in life and they're adopted. So there was that. There was no preparation. It was just like, here you go.
Here you go.
And it was like my first child, I had no maternity leave because I was new at a job and I had a newborn.
Oh, man.
And then 20 months later came his brother, which I did get maternity leave from, but it was...
That's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I see these young women coming to me who are already like, and I know the perimenopause is coming, right? Like, so I feel like our job, and I don't know, I see that you feel this in your bones. You wrote this book. You want to help other women. Like, I want to give them the gift of like, you're going to get through this. We have options. We are talking about this now. We are having conversations and you're not alone. You're not alone.
I totally agree with you. Wish I would have had people tell me that. And also, I wish I would have had somebody tell me that I was never falling apart. It felt like
you're not broken. You're not broken.
I wasn't
right?
broken. And I also wish, I wish somebody would have told me that like my body and my appearance was going to age a lot sooner than maybe the rest of me would. I felt like that was sort of a shock. Like I have one of my favorite chapters is Mirror, Mirror, What the Fuck? Because like, damn, it is a harsh reality of what changes in midlife. But yeah, like, and I think the other thing that I wish I would have believed back then was I was always enough. I really was. I was always enough. I was never too opinionated. I was never too inquisitive. I was never too impatient. I was never too aggressive. I was enough. I always was, and I still am.
They're really detrimental, I think, to women, right? Like I know I've heard things. I think I mentioned in an earlier podcast episode, I had interviewed for a job and this woman, it was a woman who told me this. Well, you were not my first choice for this position, but my first choice didn't pass the background check. Me now would have a response to that. Me back then was people pleasing because I wanted the job and I didn't know better. But me now, she would tell her to fuck off.
Oh, yeah. And no thanks. You can keep your job or I can tell you where to put your job. Good luck with that. Well, no, I think we all have these, right? And I have a lot of examples in my career too, where I remember sitting at tables and, I'd have female bosses tell me things like, oh, you're an execution machine and but you're just not strategic enough or you're not visible to the right executives. And it's like, you keep giving me the shit to do.
Yeah.
You keep giving me everything that needs to be broken, rebuilt because it's broken or built from scratch. And the reason why I'm not visible is because my shit is clean. My shit's not broken. So it doesn't need to be visible. And it turned out it wasn't until I retired and I started consulting and advising. Turns out I know a lot of stuff. And turns out there's a lot of people who want to know what I know. And the reality is I always did. But I let these other beliefs that were never mine.
There were other people's that they projected onto you.
And I just took them on. I was like I was a sponge. I just took it on. And so it became the soundtrack at work. I'm an execution machine. I fix broken shit. I build shit that never existed. I'm not strategic, so I might as well just lean into doing it all. And, I'm never going to get the promotion because I'm not visible enough to the right executives. fuck that. Like
Yeah.
so
Yep.
looking back, like, yeah, there's a lot of things I wish I would have said enough and no, and that's
Yeah.
not true. And I demand more. And I can't go back.
Yep.
I can
Yep.
change how I relate to my world now. And
Yep.
more importantly, how I show up for myself now. And I'll never go back
Yes.
to that person.
Yep. Same. And I feel like I love that you retired and then you built an empire. Like you built something, which to me is like the best. I don't want to call it revenge because it wasn't intentionally to be spiteful,
No.
but it kind of was the best kind of revenge, the kind that you didn't even try for. You just did it. And now look what
And now
you've created.
Well, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, I always love meeting people who go, yeah, I have a book in me too. It's like, oh, cool. Why don't you go write that? Because you can, if you want to
Yeah.
write it.
Yeah.
Or, my favorite is, and it's like, you could take all these things, right? I always
Mhm.
love the one I wrote about it in the book, running into people like, oh my God, you look so tired. Well, no shit. You want to know why I'm tired? Let me just give you the list of why I'm tired. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, I am tired. And thank you for
And
noticing.
who says that to somebody? You look so tired. Like that's not like there's other ways to ask somebody how they're doing. And I don't think that's the best,
and it's an intentional manipulative dig. And yes, I do write about that in the book because I did encounter somebody who I would see her and that was the first thing. Oh, you look so tired. Oh, well, thank you. Let me just go through the list of reasons why I'm so tired. Good to see you too.
What I've come to learn about those people is when they're so busy pointing out other people's flaws or things that they notice about other people, it's really a projection of themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So in my brain, I'm usually going through that. And
the little inventory, like,
not even going to give you anything because you want
just not
something
even
from that.
Yeah. I'm not going to give it
don't
to you.
Give them.
No, let them.
I want to circle back about the changing body, the growing jowls, the stomach that never existed that suddenly will not disappear no matter what you do. Let's talk about this change because I know as a woman who I'm going to say this, I didn't have to work out. I was always a thinner woman.
Totally.
Now I have to work out.
Yeah.
And I grieve that part of myself that didn't know what she was missing out on. I feel for people. But man, nothing prepares you for the crashing metabolism, the bloat, all of it.
It really doesn't. And I think, so nothing prepares you. And so like, I think the other thing is like, all we're hearing right now is wear your weighted vest and eat all of the proteins and take all the peptides and do all the supplements and like do. And it's like, okay, can we just stop for a second and just acknowledge the fact that, okay, that's going to work. But right now I just need to sit in for this moment. The fact that everything is really changing and it's not trivial. Gravity is taking hold and it's like, and it's okay. Like, let's just sit in that for a second. And then let me figure out what is it that I want to fix and what do I not want to fix? And that's a decision that I own.
Yeah.
So if I want to tweak something and fix something, I don't need 17 people telling me that was wrong. No, I don't want the judgment. So let me decide what I'm going to work on and what I'm not. But man, the changes come fast and furious. And I'm here to tell you, nobody talked about that. If I'm in my mid 50s, okay, I go back to my mid 40s, nobody was talking about that shit. And nobody said, hey, by the way, when you get to the other side of menopause, just wait, because it's only going to get worse. Where were all you guys? Hello? Where were all you telling us? Like, I would have, if protein was the killer and I should have been doing that 10 years ago, somebody should have told me. If lifting weights would have helped me, sure, maybe somebody could have told me that a long time ago. But, it's okay to grieve it. It's okay to like sit and go, this really sucks ass. And now, like, what do I want to do? And if there's going to be things that I want to shift and change and tweak, that's you. Like, I don't need to apologize. I don't need to explain it. I don't need to justify it. You can take your judgment and you can shove it, but I'm going to do what I want to do. But yeah, the changes are real and they're
jarring.
Confronting. It's like, it's like, and I take it as a personal affront, and then there's like all that, but then the flip side too, like I remember I initially wrote a blog about this and then I did reflect back on this in the book. But I one of the earlier blogs I wrote was if you're a Judy Blume fan, I'm not sure, you might be a little.
It's been a minute, but
it's been a minute. Okay,
I read her back in the day, but it's definitely been a minute.
Okay, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Right, like that's like a quintessential book. Yes. So one of the early blogs I wrote was, "Are you there, boobs? It's me, Angela." Because I had
Yep.
this like really complicated sort of relationship with my boobs. Like I liked them for a bit, and I developed really early, and then I didn't like them, and then like
Yep.
just as I'm starting to appreciate them, I have kids, and then they disappear, and then I'm like
What is this?
divorced in my mid 40s. I'm like, I don't even understand what these things are hanging. Like there's like these weird little deflated prunes. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Um, or, I'd be really critical of certain parts of my body, like, my legs are too thick or they're too this or my butt's, I listened to some high school, junior high kid who told me that I had a flat ass. It's like, damn, but let's just keep
Just
that into
can't win.
Yeah, just
Can't
can't
win.
win. But also, like, you know what? That flat ass and those legs got me through some really hard shit.
Yes, they
They
did.
sat me through hard meetings at work. They walked me into job interviews. They walked into a mediator's office when I decided with my ex-husband that this thing needed to change and our relationship
Yep.
was going to take on a new form. They did
Yep.
all that. They showed up every day when shit got hard and I was at my wit's end and I didn't know what to do. And I thought my world was collapsing. So yeah, like, did I have a
It's a
flat
lot.
ass in 8th grade? Cool. Okay. And guess what? I might
It got
still,
you.
but it got me through a lot of hard shit. And you
Yep.
know what? I kind of like my ass now. I kind of
Yeah.
like it.
I feel like other people, like there's always going to be a preference for something too. Big boobs, small
Oh,
boobs,
geez.
yeah, big
You
ass,
can't
small
win.
ass. Like you
Lips,
can't win.
the
Yeah.
big lips,
Yeah.
thin lips, eyebrows, like, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, again, I own the decision. I own the
Yep.
way I see this stuff. I own how hard or not I want to work on all of these changes. I own
Yep.
what of these physical changes I'm going to grieve and be sad about and which I'm going to accept and which I'm going to try to fight like hell to
Change.
stop or to change.
Yep.
I own
Yep.
those decisions and I don't need anybody else telling me what I can do, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, what's good,
Yep.
what's bad. Like ultimately, we're in grown ass adults here.
We are grown ass adults who get to make the decision and we get to look at it every day. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Someone can tell me, oh, I don't think you need Botox or you look great. Well, maybe
Yeah.
I don't feel great.
Maybe I don't feel great. Yeah. And also, like, yeah, I see all my neighbors walking around in their weighted vests. Like, you could keep your vest. I don't want to do that. You should. But, like, that is so
But
good
honestly,
for you.
it works for me. It works for me.
And
like
that's all that
when
matters, right?
Yep. Yep. I don't shove it down anybody else's throat. If people
No.
ask, here you go.
No.
I think that I do believe in moving our body. Like I do
Yes.
believe movement is medicine and whatever
Yes.
that's going to look like for you.
Correct.
I think that, you're not in a much different age bracket than me, but we grew up with anorexic models and cardio till your face fell off, fat-free everything. Don't even get me started on the food. It wasn't healthy. I think that at this point in time, we get to decide as grown-ass women who have lived some life, how our bodies are going to look and what we're going to do about it or not do about it.
Absolutely. And I do think, too, all of those really hard stereotypes are when that's all you're confronted with. And, if I look back on my teens and my 20s and probably even into my early 30s, social media wasn't a thing. So I remember just like I said, even thank God. But even when I started and I had this book idea in my mid 30s, I was looking at other people that I knew. Right. So, like you'd have celebrities on TV or whatever. And I was like looking, but it was more like closer to home. And I was just looking around to the people that I knew. And so the comparison, the yardstick was a little bit different back then. And I think maybe because we didn't have social media and it is so just, it's constant. And I think, we as women can get pulled into a lot of unhealthy behaviors.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. It's also, though, like to your point, it's about stopping and going, okay, like, how am I feeling?
Yep.
What am I feeling and why am I feeling it? Putting a label on it, calling it what it is, sitting in it, and then going, look, I have some license. I have some agency here. What are the things I want to change and work on? And what are the things I don't? I'm a big believer in movement. I don't think it has to be cardio till your face falls off. Thank God that kind of school of thought has shifted. But whatever that looks like for you. And if it's walking in your weighted vest, like bring it on. Yeah. That's not my jam, but I'm going to find what works for me and I'm going to own it. And then also I'm going to share it. Like, I think that's the other thing. So somebody asked me the other day too, like, oh, your book is so great. Why was it important to write it now? And I think there were two reasons. Number one, I love a good before and after story. Okay. I love a good book. Who doesn't? right?
Yep.
The problem is there's a lot of messy fucking shit in the
between.
middle that, and to me, like, if I am objective and I'm logical, when I was going through some of the hardest transitions of my life, I could logically say, it's not always going to be like this. Of
Yep.
course, there's going to be another side. I might not know what
Yep.
that looks like, but of course there is. I wish,
Mhm.
but it still did. It felt isolating. And it still, maybe
Yep.
had somebody said, like, this is what all the messiness is going to look like.
Yep. Yep. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and dive in. Yep.
So that to me is one big thing. And it's the same thing about appearance, right? Like, I wish somebody would have said, like, yeah, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to see your knees are sagging. Like, what the fuck is this? Or your eyelids are
that
like
wasn't on the bingo card. Like,
no,
what
or
happened
like
there?
when you put eyeshadow on, you're going to have to like lift up your eyelid
Yep.
to like get the color. Who
Yep.
would have told you this stuff? I wish
Nobody.
like we don't
Nobody
have to
in my life.
No, we don't have to gatekeep this stuff. So at least you know what's coming, and then you get to decide. We have agency. We get to decide what we want to work on and what we don't. So that was one reason. And I think one of the other reasons was, again, like this culture of social media and all this stuff. And it's like, look, I love that so much is being talked about on all subjects. I love hearing from Halle Berry. I love hearing from Naomi Watts. But guess what?
What?
I'm not those ladies. I am literally just a girl.
Yep.
Single mom, maybe getting out of jammies on a daily basis. Maybe not. We don't know. It's a crapshoot. Trying to figure this shit out when honest, it's like whack-a-mole. It's like everything. And, just when I think, okay, wave 2 menopause is done. Finally get to turn in my card. Everything is good. And now, like, bam, a new set of symptoms. No libido.
Yep.
My hair's falling out. Like, my bladder is out of control. Like, it just, the hits keep coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish I were one of those ladies because maybe like somebody would have helped me a long time ago, but I'm not. I'm just a real girl trying to figure this shit out the best I can.
And having access to it, I think too, like you're mentioning, like the celebrities, like they have like ridiculous bank accounts with the best of the best, with a team following them around and always looking perfect. I am going to go on how many days of not washing my hair because I don't want to have to do it every day because more hair will fall out. Maybe the leggings that are not in style. And I feel like real life, real mom, I think seeing that and hearing about it is like what I love. And we have some stuff on social media now, the We Do Not Care Club. And it's like one of my favorites because I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this today. I'm getting it. Like your book, like reading it and just the real, it's like, oh my God, I get this. And it's like easy to blow through your book because like I want to know more because I'm connecting with it. And that's what this is about. This is about connecting through the hard times, but also normalizing and realizing that, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm going to get through
the only one.
It's going to be okay. It really is. So yeah, it's crazy. I do want to touch base on you mentioned a Substacks, but I know you have like a whole community. Well, what does this community look like?
Yeah. Well, I really call kind of my Substack my community, so I probably am using the word incorrectly, but the Substack is where I write 2 to 3 times a week. I invite readers, I invite experts, we do Q&A, and it's where we just kind of share all the content, the comments and the tips and everything else. So come to Substack. It's been such a wonderful experience for me. I did my first Substack Live, which was really fun with another Substacker. And it's a place where I feel like we can just be real. And
I feel like I think I saw that it was like 50 plus, so I didn't join because I was like, do I join this? Okay, well, I want to make sure and clarify that for people.
Yeah, no. If you can get there, Real Girl's Guide to Midlife. And initially, because I liked the 35 reference in the book that I was going to write 20 years ago, I thought, I'll write the Real Girl's Guide to over 55. But the reality is, so much of what is happening right now is midlife. So I sort of scrapped the 55 and come on over to Substack if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. One of my oldest subscribers is this amazing woman who I interviewed for the book. She's 82. She's an author. She wrote her first book in her late 70s after grieving the loss of her second husband, went on to find love again, and talks about what that's like in your early 80s. And she is just my hero. I just want to be like Diane.
Gives me goosebumps.
She's incredible.
I freaking love it. When I work with folks, and I'm going to circle back to that, I've worked with so many folks as a therapist going through divorce. And I'm like, you don't see it now, right? If this isn't what you wanted, you don't see what's coming. It's like being in a tunnel and it's dark and you don't see the light on the other side yet.
No.
But when you finally get to the other side and you see that there's hope for what future partner might look like or what your future life might look like, it's going to be so much better than you ever imagined. And I had somebody that I worked with that reached out to me after we had stopped seeing each other. And they're like, I hope it's okay that I texted you, but I want you to know that you were right. And then they went on to share with me that they had moved on and they found love and they were just happier than they ever envisioned they could be in their life. And it just like, I'm like, okay, this is like why I do what I do.
100%.
Because we all deserve love. And midlife doesn't mean you can't find love again. Like, I love that you shared your partner and you guys in Italy, and this is like your your entourage of adult kids, and you know, you're working through the bumps, and you know, blended families can be beautiful. It doesn't have to be bad, right? It can be this bonus family that you never even envisioned was there. And this partner, it's the second part of your life that maybe you never even knew you needed, right?
Totally. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to follow anybody's rule book. You know, you're not going to be graded on if it looks right or if it is right or if it follows somebody else's defined playbook. I mean, hell, my man lives in Australia. I live in California. Somehow we've made this decades-long relationship not just work, but like it's the best one, and it just gets better. And so you don't have to have a rule book. You don't have to have all the answers. And sometimes it's just the freedom and the trust in yourself that, you know, hey, I'm going to just see where this goes. And magic could be on the other side. Magic will be on the other side. And you got to go through it to get through it. What's that saying? You got to feel it. You got to feel it to get through it. That's right. And you do. And we do. We are resilient creatures. We are strong, a lot of us stronger than we ever imagined possible. And you got to get through it to get through it. And you will. Yeah. I love, look at that.
I have strength tattooed on there with my cancer symbol, but it's definitely, you know, it can be better than we ever imagined. And I guess that's like the crazy part. The messy is where the messy part in between, I feel like gets you to that. I don't want to say the end because you're not at the end, but if you didn't go through the messy stuff, would you appreciate like where you're at now?
No. And it is messy, and like, it's okay to be messy, and it's messy for everyone. So you don't just have to see the beautiful or the tragic before picture and the beautiful after picture. You know, our lives are different and they're all messy, and it's a journey and it's a process, and you're not alone. You never were. It's not in your head. You were always enough and you were never falling apart.
And it's still beautiful.
And it's still beautiful. And it will be. And it will be.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. I am definitely going to link your book. I'm definitely going to link your Substack.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
Please.
I've seen some of your posts, which is great. So
thank you.
I love it. I love everything you do. I really, really value your time because I know as a busy mom, even though your boys are grown, you know, your time is valuable. And this has been wonderful.
This has been such a joy. I am so grateful to know you. Thank you for having me on. And I think what you're doing is amazing. So keep doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
If this conversation stirred something in you, that's not a problem. It's information. And midlife isn't about becoming someone new. It's about finally telling the truth about who you already are. Thank you for listening to the Unapologetic Midlife Podcast. If this episode felt like it put words to something that you've been carrying, share it with a woman who's ready to stop being good and start being real. The disclaimer: this episode is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical, mental health, or professional advice. Please consult with a qualified health provider regarding your individual situation. As always, hit that follow. Don't be afraid to share us with a friend or a coworker. And as always, leave us a review if you loved this episode. Thank you.